Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive Live. It's Sunday night, July the, the 19th? You know how horrible I am with dates, but welcome. The WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view wrap-up show. A very, very, very newsworthy pay-per-view that we're going to review in great detail. Thank you for joining us wherever you are all over the world, including those of you in the chatmosphere right now at PWRshow.com. We're going to be going to those comments, and you can be a part of this program. We're going to enter the phone zone for the last 15 minutes of the program. The number that you can call is 347-996-5278. Again, that's 347, the area code, 996-5278. We're completely interactive. I sit in front of 5 computer monitors and 3 different computers right now looking at your Twitter comments with our Twitter account, which is PWR Show, our chatmosphere at PWRshow.com, and our Facebook fan group, along with your emails and a lot of discussion about WWE's Money in the Bank pay-per-view that delivered a lot of interesting, newsworthy items. Firstly, the opening of the pay-per-view with the SmackDown Money in the Bank match, in my opinion, was very, very smart. Got the tone of the pay-per-view right out there and started the crowd off very, very hot. We'll talk about the participants and the winner of that matchup in just a moment. The Raw Money in the Bank matchup had what would have to be considered to be a very surprising winner. And we'll share with you the winner of that matchup in just a few minutes. And indeed, there is a brand new World Heavyweight Champion, and it's probably not who you're thinking. Let's kick it off now and talk about it match by match along with your live comments about the pay-per-view. The first matchup, as I said a moment ago, was indeed that WWE SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match. The participants were Kofi Kingston, Dolph Ziggler, Christian, Cody Rhodes, Matt Hardy, Drew McIntyre, and The Big Show. In this matchup, a lot of items to talk about. Firstly, Big Show dominating early on. We see the broken ladder gimmick that was used on Friday's SmackDown. Everyone else in the match gangs up and attacks Show. Hardy, Rhodes, and Ziggler and Christian all get close to the case. Kane gets back in, thwarts the efforts after a huge Dolph Ziggler bump, but he is taken out by Hardy and Christian. Let me say this, Dolph Ziggler is probably one of the best sellers in the business right now. The man bumps like crazy, and it's just fun to watch him in the ring. For whatever reason, Matt Striker tonight is rooting very strongly for dashing Cody Rhodes. He, along with Kingston and Hardy, get their finishers on Kane. Hardy and Rhodes go for the case, but Drew McIntyre comes back in, sends them both into the corner ring post. Dolph Ziggler then thwarts him and gets posted as well. Kane finally takes McIntyre out. Now, in my opinion, after 4 finishers, after the number of finishers Kane took, he should have been out a lot longer than that. Kane then clears the United States and Spanish announce tables before Kofi Kingston takes him out and attacks Drew McIntyre on the table. A little bit of trouble in paradise there. Then off the top of the ladder for the boom drop on top of the table and Drew McIntyre. Ziggler has his hands on the case in the ring. Big Show takes him out. Kane and Show then battle. Big Show then drops a splash on the ladder, a spot I've never seen before, on top of both Hardy and Christian, who were laying under either end of the ladder. And then Show grabs his big ladder from the underneath side of the ring, and is not quite able to muscle it into the ring. He expresses his frustration with the crowd and finally gets it in before Cody Rhodes stops him. Now, here's what's good. They're playing on Show's size. Big Show's size, saying he's a big man in this match, saying that he is the largest man to ever participate in a Money in the Bank ladder matchup. It added a neat dynamic to the match as opposed to the unrealistic expectation at times of him being projected as the same size as everybody else there. Good job, WWE, on that. Cody Rhodes then goes for the case. He's stopped by Dolph Ziggler, who wastes a ton of time climbing the ladder. Now, of course, everybody's going to make sure everybody's in the right place for this to work out as best it needs to. But it was obvious at times. Big Show stops Dolph Ziggler until Kofi Kingston gets back in the ring, climbs the ladder, taken out by Cody Rhodes with a top rope drop kick. A very nice drop kick from Cody, by the way. Crossroads to Kingston from top of the ladder. Rhodes is then up top. Ziggler stops him with a zigzag into the ladder. Big Show then takes out Dolph Ziggler. Action all over the place here. Again, it's Big Show who goes up to the top of the ladder for the case. Kane throws him and the ladder out. And then Show is buried underneath every single available ladder at ringside by all participants in that matchup. Once they're done with that, they go back into the ring, and all of them fight to the top of the ladder until Dolph Ziggler, who's late to the game, climbs over Kane to grab the case, gets a sleeper on Kane. Looks like Dolph Ziggler may do this before being thrown off onto the ladder pile on top of the Big Show. Cody Rhodes is then speared into the armored truck that was used as part of the set, while Matt Hardy in the ring is climbing the ladder. Kane then back in to stop him. Hardy and Christian powerbomb Kane off the ladder. Good sequences with everybody so far. That's why I'm going over this in so much detail. WWE did a very good job in booking this match, in my opinion. It was believable. It made sense. Everybody did what they should have been doing when they should have been doing it, and it all seemed to work out. Matt Hardy and Christian climb the ladder at this point. They battle it out at the top until both take a bump from the top. Drew McIntyre climbs, but is stopped with a chokeslam from Kane off the ladder. Kane grabs the case. Kane wins. Kane is Mr. Money in the Bank on the SmackDown side of things. I can't say I would have expected Kane to win that. As a matter of fact, I would have preferred to see Dolph Ziggler, Cody Rhodes, or Matt Hardy win it for story purposes going forward, because I think you get a lot more out of that, unless, what a lot of you speculated on, unless this is a Kane-Taker swerve that we're going to get down the road from this particular situation. Obviously, as we know, Kane has been viciously trying to fight back against whoever made his or put his brother, The Undertaker, into a general vegetative state. But, we'll see what happens with this angle going forward. And let's go to a couple of your comments in the chatmosphere and in the Twitterverse. Those who replied to us reference this pay-per-view, reference this match. Paper and Pen 21 says, is this the Big Show playing his old WCW character, the Giant, because they keep calling him that? As I said before, they were focusing on his size in this match. It was smart to do so. So DW Lightfoot says, can WWE return that ladder that Big Show broke back to Walmart? Referencing the ladder that Big Show broke by stepping on earlier in the matchup. Again, perfect, because it allowed them to explain why he had to use the larger ladder. Jamiro Fan 2000 says, hey look, dashing Cody Rhodes stole Desmond Wolf's in-ring jacket. The Rose Show says, I predict Kane will cash it in tonight and face Taker at SummerSlam. Irene Terror says, I guess it's safe to say Taker is cleared for SummerSlam. This all after Kane winning that Money in the Bank matchup. Zombie Sonic saying he will take the belt from Mysterio after the Swagger matchup tonight. Sets up Taker casket match for SummerSlam. A lot of people talking about that. And then finally, Rainier 911 says, I was kind of expecting McIntyre since he's so loved by Vince. But why Kane? I'm happy he won, but why not someone young? So those are the comments from that matchup. The opening matchup at WWE Money in the Bank. A couple of comments from the Chatmosphere at PWRshow.com. This one, Bobby Boucher says, the Giant just fell off the bean shock. Ratnick says, WWE needs to invest in the little giant ladder. Oh, I've seen those commercials. Those are nice. Bobby Boucher again, I'm so glad Drew did not win. LL Cool Bean says, so, Big Show just thinks about stepping on a regular ladder and it breaks, but later on Mark Henry gets on a regular ladder with two people dangling on him and nothing. Come on now, you're thinking too far into that. Big Hoss says, I was really surprised by how good the Money in the Bank matches were. Didn't expect them to be anywhere close to that good, but really disappointed by the lack of progress in the story. Lots of comments there from the chatmosphere at PWRshow.com. Let's continue moving on. The matchups. And the next matchup was for the WWE Divas Championship. It was Alicia Fox defending her championship against Eve. Of course, if you don't remember, this match was made last Monday by the general manager of Raw, Steve Jobs, and Alicia Fox wins this matchup. Now, this matchup was a lot better than I thought it would be. I don't know what I necessarily expected, but it was much better than what I expected. Very good match from these two. Had a tough act to follow. Again, very tough act to follow with Kane winning that Money in the Bank matchup. They did it very well. Fox winning made a lot of sense to me and gave her more credibility as champion. A couple of comments on our Twitter account about that matchup as I locate them here. Remember our Twitter name, PWR Show. We're also discussing the WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view in the chatmosphere at PWRshow.com. User by the name of Griftar says, good Divas match so far. Zombie Sonic, again, says, Divas title has never changed hands here in Kansas City. Those are in quotes. And then finishes that off with, Matt Stryker is an idiot. Next matchup at WWE Money in the Bank was for the Unified Tag Team Championship as the Hart Dynasty defended their titles against the Usos. It's about the third time in a row it seems like we've seen these two teams battle. However, this match was good. The Usos start off very strong. Tyson Kidd shines as well. And I said this on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter. Dameon Nelson, the name obviously. Said this earlier. Tyson Kidd is the new excellence of execution. He's not the next anything. He's the new excellence of execution. The precision by which he executed most of those moves in that matchup tonight and the intensity that that man experiences and exhibits during matchups, absolutely phenomenal. And it'll be good to continue seeing more from Tyson Kidd in WWE. We want to welcome everybody also checking us out in the Blog Talk Radio chat room. And we're going to go ahead and share a lot of those productive comments in that chat room. And, of course, all the comments in the chatmosphere at PWRshow.com. You have to excuse me if on occasion it may seem like I'm drifting, but I am, again, following all of our media feeds here and trying to make sure we get your comment made on air. Overall thoughts on the pay-per-view, you're going to have the opportunity to share them in about 15 minutes. The number, area code 347-996-5278. Enter your caller info when you call. If you don't have your caller info entered, we will not take the call. We need to know where you're from, what your name is. Again, that number, 347-996-5278. If you can't get through tonight, don't worry. We've got a 2-hour radio show on ESPN Radio tomorrow night, right after WWE Raw, 11 Eastern, 10 Central, 2 hours of discussion on professional wrestling, including tonight's WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Back to that tag team matchup, the Unified Tag Team Championship. The Usos go for the Samoan Splash. Tyson gets the legs up and tags in D.H. Smith. Hearts are strong for a bit. Tamina interferes. She's taken out by Natalya at ringside. D.H. Smith finally gets the sharpshooter on, and the Usos tap out. The winners and retaining the Unified Tag Team Championships are the Hart Dynasty. Look, guys, WWE really needs to fix the tag team division, and soon. There was just no reason for fans to care about this match, and they proved it with their silence. Now, not knocking the participants in this matchup. It was a good match. Good match overall. They delivered, I think, one of the strongest matches they've had on TV. But the fans really had no reason to care because I, quite frankly, think they were looking forward to the next Money in the Bank matchup from the excitement that they experienced in that first Money in the Bank matchup. We're going to go now to some of your Twitter comments on that tag team matchup. Earn BC says, looks like the women's match got more time than the tag team match. R. Lashley says, they mentioned Rikishi but not Umaga. 7 the Azer says, wow, the arena went silent. I love the Usos. SummerSlam should be their night, not tonight. And finally, one last comment on our Twitter feed, one last reply to us, reference that Unified Tag Team matchup was from Zombie Sonic, who says, Hart Dynasty trending worldwide. Really? Really? Let's go now to the chatmosphere. LL Cool Bean says, funny, Dameon, you could hear a pin drop during the Divas match. Let's see who else had a comment on that Divas matchup, and maybe the lack of comments does show how interested people were in it. But again, you know what? I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a very good match. Talking about that tag team championship match, Voladrim says, honestly, it was the third time in a row nobody cared about that matchup. So comments flowing there on that match. The next matchup was for the World Heavyweight Championship, and pay attention closely, folks, because we do have a brand new World Heavyweight Champion. The participants, Jack Swagger going up against the champion Mysterio. A very, very hard sell by Michael Cole on the ankle injury all matchup. Not sure of the strategy there. Did they want us to see Mysterio as the underdog, or did they want us to see him as vulnerable? Not exactly sure. Swagger starts off strong. Mysterio playing swift and sly as always and just keeps coming back. Now, I don't know what the heck this outfit was Mysterio was wearing, but it looked like something I think I've seen on an episode of To Catch a Predator. That's all I'm saying. Stryker has at this point, Matt Stryker has at this point for the first time ever succeeded in annoying me. His points were just randomly useless. At times in the matchup, you can tell that he just was doing stuff to just say words. And for the first time, he got to the point of being annoying to me on a pay-per-view. And I've been an advocate of his for a very long time. Still a fan of his work. Just this night, this time, somewhat annoying. I would say it was an excellent counter from Rey Mysterio on Jack Swagger's finisher attempt from the top rope. A 619 from Rey. Swagger catches him on the crossbody, nails the ankle lock. Rey Mysterio escapes, ankle lock again. Mysterio uses the Guerrero boot gimmick to get the roll-up and the win. In case you don't remember, Eddie Guerrero using that at WrestleMania 20 to win the championship. The winner of this matchup is Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio retaining the World Heavyweight Championship, at least at this point. Now, this is where things get interesting, folks. Jack Swagger attacking Rey Mysterio after the match. He had promised a win. He knew he was going to win this matchup, but it did not happen. Out to make the save for Rey Mysterio against Jack Swagger was the winner of the SmackDown Money in the Bank matchup, Kane. Now, you think it's obvious that Kane's going to cash it in. No, he's there to save Rey. He's there to attack Jack Swagger. He chases Jack Swagger out of the arena. Rey Mysterio's music hits. Rey Mysterio celebrates in the ring. And then it's hellfire and brimstone. Kane back out, this time with the blue Money in the Bank briefcase in hand. He is there to cash it in. He wants Rey Mysterio for the championship, and he does indeed get that matchup, and he does indeed walk out of this pay-per-view, Money in the Bank, the new World Heavyweight Champion. A lot of people surprised by this. A lot of people surprised by this move. Kane is the new World Heavyweight Champion. All right, let's go to some of your comments, and there were a lot of them on this particular matchup. Russell Cage 85, I thought Alicia, I'm sorry, that's actually a comment that's in the wrong place there. Sorry about that. Irene Terra says, didn't the match just end the same way Eddie versus Angle did at WrestleMania 20? Yes, it did. B. DeGrande says, oh no, having to hear Kane talk every week is bad enough. Now we have to put up with even more of them. Nightkind says, Kane finally wins a major title again. No one deserved it more. Hopefully he can hold it longer than 24 hours. The Kevin H. Brand says, and now let the heel turn begin at the taping on Tuesday. The Muff 2009 says, Kane wins the WWE World Championship. I'd rather be in a vegetative state than have to endure this title run. So some unfavorable comments mixed in with some favorable comments there about Kane winning the World Heavyweight Championship. Let's go to the chatmosphere at pwrshow.com. Wiley Coyote says, when did the World Heavyweight Championship lose the middle word of that title? Reference, I guess, to the former champion. Voladrim says, I don't get why Kane came out, dealt with Swagger, and then came out again 1 minute later. Did he just forget the briefcase or something? Actually, that was done for dramatic effect, and it was perfectly executed because everyone thought that when he first came out, he was going to cash in and did not. which allowed him to then do so right after, which had more of a surprise factor in that. PM versus the World says, hey, Swagger, get your own move. Lots of controversy with Jack Swagger using the ankle lock, of course, of Kurt Angle fame. Again, your new World Heavyweight Champion is Kane, and I think it's obvious where this is going from there. The Women's Championship on the line as Kelly takes on Layla. A lot of outside interference early on. Obviously, other people involved in this matchup outside, but it was much more intense and wild than the earlier Divas match, and the winner of that matchup was indeed Layla, retaining the WWE Women's Championship. Next, it was time for the WWE Raw Money in the Bank ladder match. The participants were Randy Orton, The Miz, Mark Henry, Ted DiBiase, John Morrison, Chris Jericho, Evan Bourne, and Edge. And one question before we even start, how the heck do you feel about that pop that Randy Orton got? It was earth-shattering, and I don't know. Randy Orton's still seemingly missing something as a character, but clearly not in the eyes of many fans. They start with trying to figure out who's going to be the first to go for the ladder in the matchup. Morrison and Miz and DiBiase go back and forth, ending with Henry taking out Miz, and then Jericho taking out Henry. Chris Jericho then goes after Evan Bourne in the ring. Bourne takes him out. Then Edge, who is attacked by Orton with the DDT gimmick through the ladder on Evan Bourne. John Morrison's now in, and after Orton, then DiBiase and Miz join, and they're ultimately taken out by Morrison, who climbs the ladder. All of a sudden, Morrison, Edge, Orton, and Jericho all end up with hands on the Money in the Bank briefcase until Mark Henry, with two hands on both ladders on either side of them, topples them down to the ground. Evan Bourne then uses the ladder as a springboard to take out Mark Henry. Maurice then takes advantage of an empty ring with just ladders laying there to step into the ring and climb the ladder. Again, let me repeat that. Maurice gets in the ring and climbs the ladder with the effort to get the briefcase, I would assume, for her man, Ted DiBiase. Of course, she was not so successful as John Morrison enters the ring, takes her down, and politely excuses her from the area. Good way to buy some time there to get the guys back fresh and get them back into the ring, and that first person back in the ring was DiBiase, and it becomes the Morrison and DiBiase show for a while until Edge is back in, who climbs the ladder. John Morrison stops him. Great spot with Morrison, Edge, and Miz at that point. John Morrison really taking a lot of opportunities, or a lot of chances in this matchup. Ted DiBiase and Chris Jericho are back in the matchup along with Randy Orton. Mark Henry's back in as well. Takes everybody else out, but Bourne, who climbs all the way over his back for the near win, but he's taken out by Edge, Orton, and Henry. Henry then takes the finisher gauntlet outside the ring from John Morrison, Chris Jericho, and Edge. At this point, everybody but Bourne and Henry are on the ladder fighting for the case, and DiBiase then joins the fray, comes in with a new ladder. At this point, things get a little bit sloppy, but they cleaned it up real nice, real fast, with RKO from Randy Orton to Edge after dumping DiBiase out to the ring floor from the top of the ladder. The RKOs continue as there's an RKO to Morrison, and then, just as Randy lands, all of a sudden, Evan Bourne out of nowhere with airborne to Randy Orton right after, fans solidly behind Evan Bourne in this matchup. Chris Jericho and Evan Bourne fight it out for a while. Bourne has his hands on the case just about the whole time. He's on top of the ladder until Jericho dumps him off. Edge back on the ladder. Orton grabs Jericho with an RKO off the ladder. Orton then throws Edge off the ladder. And Orton going for the case. Miz throws him down, does Orton, and climbs to grab the case. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the Raw version of the Money in the Bank ladder match, and the only Mr. Money in the Bank right now, The Miz. Yeah, he did it. I don't think many people picked him or thought it would happen, but The Miz, I think it's a good choice. He cut a promo after the match, which helped him get even more hatred. The fans really wanted Randy Orton or Evan Bourne. So Miz winning this match had even more impact. It was good heat. People like to hate The Miz, and they will now do so while hearing him talk so much about being Mr. Money in the Bank for the next however long it may be until he chooses to cash that in. A couple of comments from the chatmosphere on that matchup. from PWRshow.com. Russell Cage 85, Bobby Boucher, both say awesome. LL Cool Bean. So yeah, Mark Henry climbs the ladder with two people dangling on him. Nothing happens to the ladder. Come on. I think we talked about that one earlier. Wile E. Coyote. I didn't know Mark Henry was a descendant of Moses by the way he parted the ladders. Good comment there. Bobby Boucher again. Glad Morrison didn't touch her in reference to Maurice. Let's see. A lot going on here in the chatmosphere. Something about someone wetting themselves when The Miz won. I'm sorry for that unfortunate individual. Wile E. Coyote again. Wild Two Divas matches, two bathroom breaks. Bastion Booger. Time to talk about The Miz Show. Well, it is indeed now The Miz Show for that pay-per-view. Lots of conversation, and you can continue with that conversation. We can't get to all the comments, obviously, at PWRshow.com, but we can get to a lot of your tweets that were sent over in reference to Raw Money in the Bank matchup. First person, Jarrell Barnes, says, if WWE is smart, they would really string this Money in the Bank run with Miz to bring out his character more. Slow build-up wins the race. CubFan2240 says, if Miz fails on the cash-in, me and Dameon Nelson are going to cry our eyes out. That may indeed happen. Steel on Spine says, the Miz didn't need Money in the Bank to get over. John Morrison or Ted DiBiase would have benefited much more. Right here, 9/11. No! Of all the people, why the hell the MTV has been? You had 7 guys who deserved it more. Chosen Boy. Actually, David Hero said, really, the Miz wins Raw Money in the Bank. And then Chosen Boy replies, yes, really. The Miz is Mr. Money in the Bank. The final matchup, WWE Championship, John Cena versus Sheamus. It's a cage match. And we all know what's going to happen here, right? Cue the music. Cue the big yellow box with the N in it. Cue Nexus. This match, slow and deliberate until Nexus comes down, tries to get involved. They want the key to the cage. Referee Jack Doan will not give them the key to the cage. He throws the key into the crowd. They then try to climb the cage. I think Gabriel gets in. Sheamus sneaks out. All this while Nexus is outside the ring. Cena taps out as Sheamus taps out as Cena has him in the STFU. I still call it that, by the way. Such an obvious matchup. But again, not a bad match. Don't get me wrong. It entertained and did what it did. But during this, I had this flashback kind of thing going on to the King of the Ring 1998. A lot of people talk about that because actually with Kane being the new World Heavyweight Champion, that was the last time I believe Kane won a World Championship was at that King of the Ring 1998. It was the cage match between him and Austin, which happened after that matchup between The Undertaker and Mick Foley, the Hell in the Cell match. A lot of people don't remember that match. I sort of felt that way while watching this match with Sheamus and Cena. Sheamus is still the WWE or WWE champion. And you know what? The match did what it needed to, I think. And overall, this show, solid pay-per-view. Every match, in my opinion, delivered, and just about everything made sense. And really, that's about all you can ask for nowadays. Miz's win will certainly be good for him. Kane's win was shocking, and his cash-in was even more shocking. This should go places. The Divas, in my opinion, are really stepping up. They delivered 2 relatively quality matches tonight. 2 matches that really didn't turn me away. Did anyone notice, though, that on this pay-per-view there was no Triple H, no Undertaker? That's a good thing. Not a good thing that they're not there, but a good thing that we didn't really necessarily notice it. Solid effort by WWE, and there is no doubt at all, that they took the July pay-per-view battle between them and TNA. Some comments in the chatmosphere at PWRshow.com. Cage matches need better rules. Should be over the top only. No pinfall, submissions, or doors. That's what Ratnick says. To that point, when did it become okay? When in the hell did it become okay for pinfall victories in cage matches? That just sort of slipped in there, and now it's become the standard. You hype a cage. Yet you have a ref in there to make a count. But the cage match, the way to win, only 2 ways. Climb out or get out the door. That's my opinion, but be that as it may. Maybe they're doing that just to keep it different from some of the other cage elements that they have, cage match elements that they have out there. A couple of comments on that WWE Championship matchup. I Am Stockout says, I bet the Nexus are going to show up at some point, right? Well, you must have called Miss Cleo on that one. Steel on Spine, I think in some way Nexus will have to make an appearance of some kind before the end of the pay-per-view. Well, again, too obvious, guys. And Art Lashley asks a question. Has Hero gotten any of his predictions right for this pay-per-view? I think he got one. So, lots of discussion on that. Let's go to, before we go to the phones, remember the number 347-996-5278, 347-996-5278. We are going to go to a caller in Milwaukee, looks like a caller in Illinois, and a third caller who is on hold as well in just a few minutes of the show remaining. But first, some overall summary statements from our Twitterverse. Boomdesk713 says, beside WrestleMania, pay-per-view of the year. TNA, I hope you were taking notes. Let's see. Sean Alley says, Kane's victory continues the Money in the Bank 100%, but first time Edge was not somehow involved. Random fact. Mr. David Anderson says, thumbs up show. Tired of same finish over and over with Cena and Nexus, but overall, top to bottom, I thought it was a great show. WrestleMania_27, somebody's username says, Kane versus Taker at SummerSlam, that's Money in the Bank. Joey Holston, I don't care much for the whole ECW angle in TNA, and I could care less. I think we should call them extremely crappy wrestlers now. That one's a bit off topic, but there anyways. 6 Williams said, it wasn't that great. The Miz wins. Really, that's BS. Kofi push just went down the drain. Maverick 319, can you please tell me how the Miz won? Well, I think the proof is in the pudding there. Saul Perez Jr. says, Kane winning Money in the Bank and then cashing it in to beat Ray for the world title was good and sets up Kane-Undertaker feud for SummerSlam, but boring. Steel and Spine, Money in the Bank equals average. Tie 1822. It was a solid show. The main event was overbooked like a TNA ending to a pay-per-view. All right, well, so many conversations about that, and you can go to our Twitter page. We'll be retweeting a lot of those tweets. Lots of spirited discussion on that pay-per-view from WWE, and lots of conversation obviously is going to continue tomorrow night when we invite the rest of the PWR team to talk about WWE's Money in the Bank on pay-per-view. Let's see, we've got some emailers here. We've got an email from a person by the name of Baller4133, obviously not the real name, but the name that we got the email from. He says this, I was very impressed with both Money in the Bank and the matches, the WWE Championship match, but my question, which direction is WWE going with SummerSlam? With The Miz as a Money in the Bank winner, do you see Kane Undertaker for the world title at SummerSlam? It all depends on when Kane's going to be able to come back and wrestle. We have not heard anything lately, but I think we're driving down that road towards Kane versus Taker, which we've talked about for a long time. It makes sense, and there's going to be a lot of heat on Kane, especially from a lot of Rey Mysterio fans, because Rey Mysterio, very popular in the world. One comment from our Facebook fan page. Remember, we are on Facebook. You can go to pwrshow.com, click on the Facebook icon to become a fan or like the PWR group. John Neal says, I loved it. The cashing in the SmackDown briefcase by Kane was great and awesome that The Miz is finally considered a main eventer. So lots of people talking about this. David Arrell says, very good pay-per-view. And, maybe these will stop because of his showing in tonight's pay-per-view. We've got an email from an unknown name, but it attached a picture to it, reference Cody Rhodes being spotted at his local Target. We'll talk about this one probably this week on the returning video version of PWR Interactive. So, we're going to go ahead and end the show here. Sorry to our callers. Let's try one more time. You know what? I'm feeling lucky. Let's go to a caller in 847 area code. Caller, you're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive.
This is Dan from Chicago. What's going on?
Dan from Chicago, how are you?
Good. I enjoyed the pay-per-view. I was really, really upset when The Miz won the Money in the Bank. I wanted Evan Bourne to win it. Evan Bourne had it in his hand, and, of course, we all saw what happened next. So I was really disappointed.
He had it in his hand for a long time on a couple different occasions. I thought at several points during that matchup that he was going to win it as well, and the fans really wanted either him or Orton.
Yep, so disappointed in that. I noticed that John Cena took the wristband. What does that mean? What does that mean?
John Cena's wristband, the C-Nation wristband?
No, the NXT wristband. He took it, and then he left. I think he's going to join Nexus.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of people talking about that, and you know what? There's got to be a good payoff to this story between Nexus and John Cena. Otherwise, WWE owes us 5 weeks of programming.
I agree. It's going to be Hollywood.
Your overall thoughts on WWE Money in the Bank, was it worth $45?
Yes, it was.
All right. Thanks for calling in, Dan. We appreciate it. Let's go to another caller. It looks like this one might be an international caller. You're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive.
Good morning, Dameon.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm calling from Ireland.
Ah, tremendous. Ireland.
Yes, just phoning in.
You want to talk a little bit about WWE Money in the Bank tonight? Did you get a chance to see it?
I thought it was probably the best pay-per-view so far. Actually, in my opinion, better than WrestleMania.
That was a good show. Favorite moment?
Favorite moment, Sheamus. Leaving that cage.
Not just because, he's Irish, but...
I think he's awesome, not just because he's Irish, but his whole persona. It's
especially over the course
fresh.
of the last 2 or 3 weeks, I would say, being somewhat of a coward, if you will.
I've seen that.
It adds more dynamic to his character.
From the guy who just ended careers to the guy now who's running away a bit as well. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that as well.
It's almost. It's almost like the opportunistic kind of thing that Edge was doing for a while, where he's just letting Nexus do his dirty work, but really not involved at all.
Exactly, and he's also a powerhouse, which makes it even funnier at times as well.
Exactly. Who did you expect in the SmackDown Money in the Bank matchup?
At one stage, I thought Drew McIntyre was going to win, and I was so glad to see Kane actually win it. So glad. It's about time he got something. It was unexpected.
What did you think of that?
Very, very unexpected. It was a breath of fresh air to see something surprising on a pay-per-view.
It's good to have a heavyweight as the world heavyweight champion, huh?
Exactly. I'm sick of seeing a guy that weighs less than I do as a champion, the world heavyweight champion.
And then Miz winning Money in the Bank. Your thoughts on that matchup?
Also shocked, really shocked. Evan Bourne standing there, I didn't know what he was trying to do with the briefcase at one stage. I thought he was just swinging it around. And then once I seen The Miz untake it down, I was like, what? But also I like The Miz, so it's something different. And at long last, they're actually pushing some of the younger talent, which is really good.
Very good to see, and you know what? This was an exciting pay-per-view. As was said earlier, it may have been the best pay-per-view of the year. I can't go that far yet, but it was a good show. It was worth it. It was worth every dime, in my opinion. It's rare you get to say that about pay-per-views. WWE could have found a winner here in the Money in the Bank concept.
The funny thing about it was, over here we get Sky Sports. Mm-hmm. And on Sky Sports tonight, it was actually free for us, so that's just a bonus on top of that. Yeah, that's Fatal 4-Way.
I've always wanted to fly Virgin. I've always wanted to fly Virgin Airlines. Thank you for that call.
Fatal 4-Way.
Here, got to wrap some things
Sorry.
up. Thank you so much for that call from over in
Thanks
Ireland.
very much, Dameon.
Thank you for tuning in, and thank you to those of you who have called in as well. And we are out of time, though. Billy, please give us a call tomorrow night on our ESPN radio show on 540 ESPN. And thank you to all of you for calling in and also joining us in the chatmosphere and in the Twitterverse. And so much going on from what I think was a very, very good pay-per-view, WWE Money in the Bank. We'll be live, as I said, tomorrow night, 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock p.m. Central, at PWRshow.com, streaming from ESPNMilwaukee.com as well. And be sure to check out last Friday's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time, where David Hero had a bit of a revelation. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you again soon at PWRshow.com. Thank you from all of us here at the PWR radio and television shows. We'll see you again soon.